It was good detective work that identified David Jackson's earthly remains, what was left of them. But pure chance that the partial skeleton was found at all, as David's brother Mark found out.
They were getting ready to build a Walmart. A construction worker came across some bones. He reported it. They went out and they dug up a bunch of bones.
And put the bones somewhere and forgot all about it.
They were found about a year after he disappeared, and they sat in the morgue for 15 years.
Sat there all those years, even as those who loved David held out a shred of hope that he was alive somewhere.
As far as I know, he was disappeared. He was missing.
But now Detective Velasquez had a hard truth to tell. David Jackson was dead, not missing. And the way he had been hidden made it perfectly clear he had been murdered all those years ago, most likely before his friends or family even noticed he was gone, which put a final period on his mother's lingering hope for his return. And apparently an ex-wife's what-ifs. Were you seriously thinking, maybe someday I'll get back together with him?
When it's your first love, you always think, wow, go to work, what if?
Strange how things turn out. Barbara had moved back to Florida, remarried again, had a daughter, took a job at Walmart, but still held a candle for David, even as he lay under the ground practically next door to the very Walmart where she worked. What did that do to you?
It's an eerie feeling. It's, that he was in that area that I didn't even know about.
Such an odd coincidence. Too odd, maybe? Time for a chat. Detective Velasquez called Barbara, got herself invited over to Barbara's house. Barbara seemed to have no problem talking about David.
She said she cared about him a lot. And I say, well, how is David as a father? Well, David became abusive towards Johnny physically and emotionally, verbally.
Wait a minute. This was a whole new wrinkle. Up to now, everything about David's history had been squeaky clean.
As an investigator and as a mom, I began to say, did you ever call the police? She said, oh no, I never called the police. She says, I just thought he would change. She proceeds to tell me that I documented the injuries with photographs, never produced any photographs for me.
For us, by the way, Barbara changed her story. Said it was really her father, not her, who accused David of abusing his son. And today she questions the allegation.
My dad was looking into counselors and having them, evaluate it and stuff like that, because I would just be like, this is David, what are you talking about?
But of course, the detective couldn't talk to Barbara's father about abuse or murder or anything else. Harry Britton had been dead for years, but Barbara had more information for the detective. She recalled a troubling conversation she'd had with David. At the time, said Barbara, David was working for Coca-Cola, delivering the product.
He told me that someone was placing drugs on his Coca-Cola truck. And through his route, they were being taken off of the truck. I said, wow. I said, that's pretty serious. And she says, yes.
Interesting.
Very.
To Detective Velasquez, that sounded like a made-up story, almost as if she was trying to divert suspicion away from someone. An ex-wife would qualify, of course, as a person of interest in this kind of case, but as Velasquez and we learned, Barbara had an alibi. She wasn't anywhere near Florida, she said, when David disappeared.
I was not in Florida. I was in Arizona, in the apartment. I was nowhere around here.
And lacking any further evidence, Detective Velasquez was stalled, dead in the water. Unless, maybe the man Barbara was married to at the time knew something. Michael Wolfe. A little checking revealed Wolfe had been married 7 times. Number 6, a woman named Nancy Graham, lived in Alabama. Velasquez called her.
I told her I'm investigating the disappearance of David Jackson, and she said to me, how much evidence do you have against him? And I said, I can't discuss the evidence with you, but I can tell you that it's enough for me to put him away right now. I was just totally bluffing. I had really nothing. I'm just throwing it out there, you know, fishing that long line, and if something bites, I'm reeling it in. And she says, honey, she says, let me call you back.
The minutes ticked by. Velasquez waited by the phone. And when Nancy called back, what she said blew the case wide open.
She started telling me about who was involved, how it happened, where it happened, what they did, how they did it, how they planned it.
They? Why, yes, they. And, by the way, beware the sting of an ex-wife's tale.
She says, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know.
When we come back, the ex-wife ready to spill.
He told me that the first shot didn't kill him. He had to shoot him again.
When Buried Secrets continues.